All right, welcome to episode 1 of Mock SportsCenter. I'm Daniel, your host, here with Peter, Connor, and Liam for soccer. So yesterday were the first two legs of the Champions League quarterfinals. Real Madrid and City tied 3-3. What do we think about that game?
I think Man City's excellent form. I think they're going to win it all.
Phil Foden had a great goal. All three of City's goals were pretty sweet. Valverde's last one to tie it up.
Beautiful.
That was also nice. Ruben Diaz, the own goal. It was kind of all Camavinga though.
I think
very unlucky.
Real Madrid's goalkeepers had a shocker.
Luna, you think?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think Camavinga had a good run in, and then, if you take enough shots, obviously you're going to score one of them, and it just ended up being like a really bad own goal. But
Bernardo Silva with the free kick to
yeah, maybe.
Clever play there.
Luna definitely could have done better there. Though.
Yeah,
that's true.
And then, so we had Bayern Arsenal also a tie, 2-2. Saka, sweet goal, 12th minute, started off. Little curl around the goalie.
Opening fast-paced games in both of them.
Yep.
True.
And, it's going to set up a pretty sweet second leg.
Arsenal goalkeeper kind of comes off his line and screws up the defending, gives the ball away in the middle of the field, and counterattack. Easy finish for Gnabry.
I think Arsenal's defense is so tight. Other than their left back, Kivior is just not gonna cut it in the Champions League. He's just some random Polish guy.
That's the no-call pen on Saka. What do we think?
That was not a pen.
No pen.
Saka went in and kicked him and then fell over.
Well, Sane also drew the pen
Great.
for Harry Kane.
Great run from Sane, straight down the middle.
For the pen.
Draws a pen, Harry Kane.
That was definitely
finish,
a pen.
bottom right.
Bang.
I thought Kane was gonna smash it. I can't lie, but then he just rolled it.
I thought he was going to sky it.
I mean, Kane's
he's
one of the best guys you can have to take that pen.
I think he's
Not
the
really.
best, other than Cole Palmer.
Yeah, Cole Palmer's.
So then we got two big second legs for those games. The next Wednesday on the 17th, and then PSG versus Barca and Atletico versus Dortmund are today at 2, and we had 60 and 40% for both of those, so those are also probably going to be close. But we had Barca and Atletico, the Spaniards, coming on top for those. What do we think about the Premier League title race here? Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. We got Arsenal in front with 71, then Liverpool also 71, and City with 70. It's not often you have three big teams so close with just a few games left.
I think I'm going to take Liverpool on this one. Looking at the fixtures, Arsenal have a couple tough fixtures with Spurs and United. So I think Liverpool have the easiest run for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll take it home.
I think I saw a stat that said Liverpool will have the easiest remaining schedule of the season, so they should win. Arsenal will have the hardest, and Man City will have the middle, based off Big Six games away.
I just don't see Liverpool doing anything. I can't lie. I think
I
they
hope
always
Arsenal
they
takes
always
this one
concede
out.
first, and I don't think they can come back every game. They've done it so far, but I think they're gonna slip up against some mid-table side, and then City aren't gonna lose a game.
Like Sheffield United.
Liverpool tends to have a lot of draws, and that
they're always high scoring, and you never know. Kwanzaa's gonna make a mistake. He's young, and then Joe Gomez. I don't know if I back Joe Gomez. And then Arsenal, they're not consistent enough. I think City's got it in the bag, even though they're...
Liverpool have their players like Trent, Allison, multiple others coming back from injury this week. They're back in training now, so...
Injury. New players to the starting 11 causes chemistry problems.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is Trent going to start now? Do we think Trent or Connor Bradley?
I'm taking Trent.
What do you think?
I'm keeping Connor
Game
Bradley.
changer.
I think Connor Bradley's in a good run of form. Might as well keep him going,
I don't think you can bet against De Bruyne and Haaland, though.
Yeah,
I got City.
De Bruyne's gonna play.
I think De Bruyne is the best
De
player
Bruyne picked up an
I've ever
illness. That's why
seen.
he didn't play yesterday.
Oh, I ever seen.
I think De Bruyne is the best player I've ever seen.
All right, so we got April 4th, we had a huge comeback. Chelsea against United. Cole Palmer himself scored 2, 90 plus 10 minutes of added time. And then the 11th minute and the 12th minute, he scored 2 to win 4-3 after being down 3-2.
He scored a hat trick.
It was his third. Yeah, it was second and third.
Two
goal.
pens and a big deflection, but
Cole Palmer had a hat trick.
Terrible from Manchester United. No one follows Palmer on the corner, and he just has an open shot at the top of the box. Gets a little bit lucky, but
the Man U came up with the comeback against Liverpool.
They did. Man U did play good against Liverpool. I mean, for the Chelsea United game, I just don't think either of them are good at all. I think they're both horrible. They can't keep a lead to save their lives, and
Where's
I think
Everton at?
on the day Chelsea. Okay, have off that.
let's move on to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Everton point deduction, 2 points lost for violating financial fair play,
It's
which
so
is
dumb.
pretty interesting because Man City has a lot of talk about that for years and haven't been punished too much. They seem to get away with it.
It really doesn't make any sense. Everton has one charge against them, and they've been charged twice. Man City has 115, and they haven't even been looked at. I really don't see the consistency. I don't know.
Well, it seems like the
big
Man
case.
City allegations had to do with the Champions League rather than being punished in the Premier League.
true.
So Everton can't make the Champions League, so that's
Yeah, I
kinda
mean-
why.
Well, I mean, we got.
No European football.
The reason we're
side.
getting these charges is for losing too much money, which I know isn't a good thing, but there are some things that you just can't control. Like, it's because of our stadium. It's like the prices have increased and stuff, and we like lost an investor, so sometimes it's out of your hands. I mean, it's just unlucky.
Just bringing more revenue.
So this is NHL. I'm Daniel, your host.
Colin, Duffy.
Logan, Petlanksy.
Xavier, Heithaus.
So last week, Devils Rangers, all 10 guys on the ice fought from first puck drop. 8 ejected after 2 seconds of play. What do we think about that game?
I thought it was pretty interesting. I like the big fights. I think 2 seconds into the game, I think it was really got the fans going before the game started.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a great way to start a game. You get the crowds all in it, and I don't know, nothing like seeing a big brawl on the start of the game.
I think it's good for clicks and views, but also at the same time, I don't think it's a good look for the league. A bunch of goons fighting the whole time. I don't know if that's the way that you want your league to look. And Matt Rempe, I think he has more penalty minutes than he does actual minutes played. So, I mean, if he wasn't fighting, I don't think he would be anywhere near the NHL. So I don't know how I feel about that, but.
Yeah, so that leads us into, so he was the first player in NHL history to be ejected in his first 3 games against one franchise, which was
The Devils.
Devils. So what do we think about him in this league, good or bad?
I'd say for me, I think it's kind of good. I think the league has kind of gotten soft, and it's like seeing more of like skilled. And it's kind of, I don't know, seeing this guy, I feel like it's brought back kind of like the old timers from watching it, and like it showed that like there's still like that goon style to the NHL. I mean, it can get bad, and there's league suspensions and all that, but for what he's doing, I think it's just bringing in more viewers and more attention to the game.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since we've seen big guys like that, like Chris Pronger on the Blues, and just like guys like that. You haven't seen them in a while. Domi, it's been a while. Now it's just like guys like McDavid and McKinnon and Kucherov just like taking over the league with skill. But it's nice to see a difference with guys like Rempe being big and stuff like that.
Don't you think there's like a medium though, like between what it means to be like a total goon and like being like a physical player, like a heavy player? I think there's still some.
I mean, I feel like Rempe, he's like much different from like a Ryan Reeves. Like Ryan Reeves was like, I mean, that was his time to do it, but he wasn't going out every game getting like 50 penalty minutes in like his first NHL games. So I don't know. I feel like it's just bringing a different character in the NHL, a different view of things. But yeah.
Do you think someone like a Brad Marchand, who's got that kind of like flair, but also is putting up a bunch of points, would be better than someone who's just getting ejected all the time?
I mean, definitely, but yeah, like a guy like Marchand's way bigger for the league. But also, I think at the same time, a guy like Rempe's getting a lot more clicks on social media.
Yeah.
But that might be good for the game. But I don't think you want every guy who's got on the fringe of being an AHL or an NHL player. I don't think you want every guy to come in and just start socking guys in the face.
Yeah.
And doing all
Yeah,
that.
it's not juniors. It's the NHL. It's all
big leagues.
Yeah, it's class.
So on the skill side, though, let's talk about Connor Bedard for a little bit. Do you think he's already secured the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, or is there any chance anyone else takes that?
I really like Brock Faber. I think he's like one of the most steady defensemen in the league. But also at the same time, it's Bedard, and he kind of like Rempe, he's huge for the league, and I don't think anyone would give it to someone else other than Bedard. But I think Faber's had a good enough of a season to definitely win a Calder.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if it wasn't like Bedard in the season as it is, I think Faber would easily wipe anybody else for the Calder. But I think the character that Bedard has brought for the game and just like all the hype that he brought to the game and stuff like that, I think he for sure. already
Yeah, I would
secured
agree
the
with that.
Calder.
Like, he just, I don't know, just every game of social media, he's just on it, and it's just game. Like, I mean, he'll just like play Sidney Crosby, and it's on the media. Like, he just plays like all these big time guys, and it's not like that for anyone else. It's just Bedard. So he's got a special name out there now, and it's good for him. It's good for the league. A lot of young guys see a really young guy who's special, so it makes people look up to him now.
I think he has the highest selling jersey this year too, so that's big for a rookie. And then just being on the Blackhawks too, the fact that he's been able to have a lot of big plays, score a lot of goals on like a team that he's not getting a lot of help on, kind of shows a lot.
Yeah.
And then Connor McDavid, he's now at 99 assists, and there's only been 13 years where a player's hit 100, 11 of which were Wayne Gretzky, including the top 8. But him and McDavid or him and Matthews having great seasons with assists and goals.
Yeah, actually, I have a question. What do you think's like bigger? Like, obviously, I think McDavid's probably gonna hit his 100th assist in the game tonight, but Matthews hitting 70 goals or McDavid hitting 100 assists?
I think it's so hard to score in the NHL, and I think McDavid's a way better player than Matthews, but also scoring 70 and that, like, a lot of ex-NHL players talk about how difficult it is to get the puck in the net, and when you're able to do it 70 times in 82 games, I mean, that's pretty crazy.
It's almost a goal per game.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
close to it.
impressive. Yeah, like some NHLers don't even get close to 70 points in a season, and for him to just put in 70 goals
Yeah.
that's impressive.
Yeah. People call 20 goals a great season. So.
Yeah.
This is the golf section. We've got Jack, Brian, and Tully. So the Masters is coming up, arguably the biggest weekend golf of the year. And we've got Scotty Scheffler as the favorite, and then Roy McIlroy and John Rahm in second and third. What do you think about the Masters?
Yeah, no, personally, I think Scotty's going to take it away easily. In his last 3 starts, he's won, and then got second, lost by 1 stroke. So I just don't see him losing this week.
I gotta go with Wyndham Clark, man. The amount of work he's put in with his mental health coach, Julie, it's really fascinating, and how much his game has improved after working on his mental health.
Well, actually, something kind of more interesting. After the 2022 Masters, they lengthened Augusta by like 300, 400 yards. Augusta always played into the hands of right-handed golfers, who mostly hit a cut. But considering the fact that they've really lengthened the course out, most golfers are going to have to hit a draw. But considering that actually favors a lefty. And last year you saw that with Phil Mickelson. He took top 10 or top 5. I got, maybe not Phil, but maybe a Brian Harmon. But I see a lefty getting a top 5 finish here today.
So Tiger Woods is playing this year, which I think is great for the golf game because if he makes the cut, seeing him out in red on Sunday is always like a staple of Masters. And then Fred Couples is 64, and he's trying to compete in the Masters, which is huge. But yeah, we've got those big guys. Wyndham Clark narrowly lost in the Players. Scotty Scheffler took it home. Those will also be guys to look out for. And then now for a debate, we're going to talk about LIV Golf, and do we think it is good or bad for the golf game?
I think LIV Golf is definitely bad for the golf game. I just think that the PGA has put so much effort and so much into these players that went over to LIV Golf, and I just see there's no loyalty from the players, and I would really love to see a PGA guy who stayed loyal, such as Rory. I would love to see Rory win the Masters.
Well, that's great, but why would you be loyal to a tour that wasn't loyal to you? Obviously, Live Golf. I'm not a huge fan of paying people $1 billion to go play a sport. I think that's a little bit of an overkill. But the PGA Tour was terrible with their prize money and with the way they treated players. They didn't even tell the players about the Live Golf merger. So I think Live Golf, the idea behind it is a good idea. It's forcing the game of golf to evolve. Now, are there some bad sides to it? Yes, but I think overall Live Golf is starting to connect to a younger generation of golf, and it's just bringing a lot more hype and a lot more attention to the game, which I think is absolutely great.
So I have two counterpoints to that. I hear you say hype and attention, and I have not watched any Live Golf, but I've seen clips of it, and I feel like there's maybe 5 people in the crowd, and I would just say, that's not a lot of hype and attention. And another point I would like to bring up is that the PGA has a long legacy of golf, and I just feel like the Live could take over that, attempt to take over that legacy, and I do not think it is good for the game. I think it creates a competition that is not needed in the game of golf. And finally, you said that the PGA did not tell their players about the merger event. Well, that was not necessarily, the PGA could not have been fully informed about the event also, and they can't relay information that is not 100% true or confirmed.
Well, the PGA Tour is a player-run organization, and obviously they would have known about the merger if they agreed to it. So not informing the players is actually a breach of their contract. But also bringing that back to, do you know how the PGA Tour was formed?
I do not.
They broke away from the PGA of America. So the way the PGA Tour was formed is the exact same way Live Golf was formed. Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, probably the 2 biggest names of that generation. They're the ones who did the exact same thing that the Live golfers are doing to the PGA. And I think we can all agree that the PGA Tour has been great for the game of golf. Now, I don't think playing music, these weird scoring titles at Live, where you're playing with teams, is that great? No. But the idea behind bringing the game of golf to a new group of people and, well, frankly, paying the players more, I think it's a good thing.
New group of people, well, I mean, it's still the same players that are competing, and if you're talking about the fan base, again, I would say that there's a significantly smaller fan base for Live Golf. And also, we have guys wearing shorts, only playing 3 rounds. The legacy of golf in general, I feel like it's being kind of attacked from Live Golf.
I don't know, Jack. I feel like the short stuff, it just doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
it's
like
still golf.
the unwritten rules of you have to wear pants on the golf course, and I think that's what kind of keeps golf away from, not me, but my generation for sure. And like when I'm talking about the popularity of Live Golf, it's like everybody was talking about this. Doesn't matter if you're going out to watch a Live event. I've only watched maybe 1 round of Live Golf. It's not even about watching Live Golf. It's about bringing attention to the game of golf. And I think that's what Live has done.
Yeah, I think the competition that it's provided for the PGA was really good because it kind of woke them up and realized that they needed a change.
And I think I was initially against Live, but I think with the merger, I think that's really bad of the PGA because someone like Rory McIlroy rejected a huge paycheck, and then they were like, "Oh, we're merging." Well, Rory could have took the $1 billion and had the same result, but now he doesn't, and just because he stayed loyal, so you're hurting your players, and that makes me dislike the PGA a bit more.
Another thing, I said this before, and I'll say it again in a different perspective, is that the merge deal, it doesn't occur in one sit down, and it doesn't just happen right away. And could the PGA Tour have done a better job at informing their players? Yes, but I just think before the deal was actually made, I cannot agree with telling the players something that might possibly not happen, because then that could create a lot of arguments, and that could kind of create like a fantasy.
Well,
that's
the point. The PGA is run by the players. There should be argument. The PGA shouldn't just be one dude calling the shots. That's what you call a dictatorship. The PGA Tour, the players vote on issues, and in this they were not allowed to, and that's the problem. I get the idea of wait until the deal is kind of finalized, not fully pen on paper, but you got the pretty much the framework, but you got to have the players vote on it.
Yeah, the players, they didn't even find out from the PGA. They found out through social media. So even after the deal was finalized, the PGA still didn't tell them.
All right, so this is March Madness. I'm here with Xavier, Brian, and Liam. This was obviously perhaps the biggest sporting event of the past few weeks. And we have our bracket challenge winner, Liam, here with us. An annual competition here, the first one, and big win, even though no one in the entire club had a winner in the championship, and only one person had their winner in the Final Four. You had San Diego State winning, but you still won, so good job there. And then the whole club made predictions for the Final Four and championship, and we went 1 for 2 with the Final Four, but predicted the champion UConn, and they won their second consecutive NCAA basketball title. Dominated the second half, first back-to-back champion since Florida in 06 and 07, and one of 4 schools with 6 basketball national championships. What do we think about that game?
My personal opinion is I thought it was kind of sort of disappointing for me, especially in the second half. I think it's kind of cool that Edey dropped 40 points for Purdue, but it's also kind of bad. Like Purdue had the 40 of their 60 points by one singular player, and I think UConn almost dominated everything besides in the paint. I think UConn dominated the game, and they ended up winning a national championship by 15 points, which I thought was kind of crazy.
I think that game just showed the conformities that Purdue went through, and how their offense has no versatility, and that if a team learns how to guard one person, then they can't really do much. The only reason they were able to get through Zach Edey is because he's just bigger than everyone.
Yeah, I think that game just goes to show UConn is officially now a basketball powerhouse with the men's as well as the women. You'd never think of UConn as a team that would just dominate March Madness, but obviously with the women they did. I don't know, they won like 5 straight years in a row, didn't lose a single game. But with the men's, completely honest, I had UConn losing in the second round. All of my Final Four were out in the second round, so my basketball knowledge is not there. But 6 championships, that does speak for itself. Back-to-back also speaks for itself. I think we can officially call UConn a basketball powerhouse.
I think this game was a reminder, though, too, that you can't just have one guy lead you to a championship, because we also saw that with the women's, with Iowa, with Caitlin Clark. Obviously the best college women's player ever, but she lost the championship because South Carolina had a undefeated team with 5 girls that just dominated the court, and they weren't relying on one person. And even someone like Michael Jordan with the Bulls, like he had Scottie Pippen, he had all these other guys that were helping him out. You can't just have Zach Edey or Caitlin Clark and win every single game.
Yeah.
I think that shows that team basketball needs to be played again. I think that a lot of teams could learn a lot, especially the NBA. A lot of NBA just rely on their 1 or 2 superstars, and what UConn did with a full team, a full bench. They had every player play minutes and do well. I think that shows how basketball should be played.
Yeah.
And that just goes to say how the coaching. I know South Carolina's women's coach. She's pretty well recognized, and the UConn coach has been getting a lot of praise. It's difficult to get a full 5-man unit out there and perform day in and day out, but if you're able to do that, that's really kudos to the team culture and to the coach.
And that's what UConn and South Carolina both did, and that's how they were able to take down the men's, I guess the big guy in the men's, Edey, and then the best in the women's ever, Caitlin Clark, just because they had a full team to take down.
Now I got a question with Alabama. Can we call it a football school only, or can we give it the basketball basketball name as well.
I don't even stop calling it a football school anymore. They haven't done much the past couple of years, I feel like.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't
got
say
ruled by
Alabama
Georgia.
I mean,
football's not elite.
Nick Saban, the program he built there, they're winning championships like every other year. And a college a sport that's so hard as football, where people are voting on you to make it to a top 4. And like you can go undefeated like Central Florida and not even get in. It's just there's so much going on, and obviously that'll improve with the 12 seed format. But with Alabama's basketball school program, they were a 1 seed last year, and then they made it to the Final Four this year as a 4 seed. So with Nick Saban leaving, I think they might be more of a basketball school now.
Oh, okay, come on.
I mean,
Alabama football is the best college sports program that I can think of on the men's side. Yeah, they had 2 or 3 bad years. Their coach is leaving, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that when you think of college football, you think of Alabama. You know, I agree with them being called a basketball school, but I mean it's kind of outrageous to call them anything other than the most dominant football program in college football.
Yeah, I guess when you think of college football, you think Roll Tide.
I saw 2 cars
Everyone
with
do
Roll
Tigers.
Tide stickers on the way to school today. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself.
This is our NFL segment. I'm here with Evan, Dan, and Kyren. And the Texans recently traded for Stephon Diggs and only gave away 1 second-round pick in 2025. What do we think about the trade and who got the better side of that?
I'll go first. I think that was a win for the Texans. You know, me becoming a Houston fan last year, I feel like Stephon Diggs will help to our offense along with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And we also picked up Joe Mixon. So I feel like they have a great offense.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Texans did steal that from Buffalo. It'll be interesting to see how he affects the team morale, though. Having some problems in Minnesota and Buffalo. See if that carries with them to Houston.
I just don't think the 2025 second-round pick is worth Stephon Diggs. Some might say that they're tanking, but tanking means you're going to be better in the future. And I don't think a 2025 second-round pick does that.
Yeah, the Bills traded not only Diggs, but Jordan Poyer, Gabe Davis, Tre'Davious White, and a lot of other starters, including a captain lineman. So, yeah, are they kind of on the decline?
I think they're trying to give Josh Allen some new weapons to use because, I mean, they had the weapons to go for it, but they just never could finish the job. So I think giving Josh Allen a fresh start and some better players, they can make a far push in the future.
I agree. All he has right now is a tight end, Dalvin Kincaid, but they got to get some wide receivers in the draft or something because he has no weapons on offense.
They have had some heartbreaking defeats deep in the playoffs, and I think they thought the formula they had with their, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen was going to work for a while, but it just hasn't. So they're trying to shake it up, I think.
Yeah, but on the Texans side, what do we think about, C.J. Stroud with Diggs, and that's another asset that they can use on their offense, which was surprisingly really great last year. Do you think that'll be like a big duo next year?
I think it'll be even better. I give the props to the OC for calling the plays because Nico Collins and Tank Dell, they weren't really big stars, but C.J. Stroud was able to work very well with them. And now you're adding a seasoned veteran with Stephon Diggs, can really make this offense pop.
So also in trades, Russell Wilson, obviously Broncos to the Steelers, and Justin Fields also went to the Steelers from the Bears. So Pittsburgh's got 2 big quarterbacks, and do we think Russell Wilson's going to thrive there as opposed to in Denver, or will he just kind of serve as a mentor for Justin Fields to help develop him and coach him? How do we think that's going to play out?
I think Russell Wilson on the Broncos was the last time a team actually took him seriously as a starting QB. So I think he really is just there to be a mentor for Justin Fields because he didn't have success on the Bears because I don't think he had someone there, showing the ropes at the NFL.
I don't think anyone is going to thrive on the Steelers' offense. They really don't have anybody. They got George Pickens, but even kind of mid.
This is coming from a Browns fan.
Yes, it is. But Russell Wilson, I think it's good to have him. Teach, at least help Justin Fields. Learn the ropes, help him out a bit. But I think Justin Fields has good potential in Pittsburgh.
Coming from a Seahawks fan myself, I think Russell Wilson is going to strive greatly with Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin, he has a ways with calling his plays, and they always seem to finish with a pretty good record.
Great defense.
So then, Max Jones was another big trade. Why did we think the Jaguars wanted him from New England?
I think that's wasted cap space. Me personally, I wouldn't put Mac Jones on my squad. I would have took my chances with a different quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. It's his turnovers and his decision making are just too costly, and hopefully he can learn from Trevor Lawrence because his time in the NFL is coming to an end.
I agree. I think that this was just in case, Trevor gets injured, something bad happens to him, they'll have, at least someone that's played, a couple seasons and not, they just need someone that they can maybe rely on just a little bit. But I don't think that the Jaguars are going to strive with him as starting quarterback if Trevor gets injured.
I totally agree with that. I don't see any potential in Mac Jones whatsoever. In the games that I've watched with him, his decision making is poor. He just kind of seems to lob the ball up when he doesn't know what to do, and that ends up with picks, and those turn into pick sixes, and those turn into lost games.
And then lastly, one of the biggest changes next season is there will be a new kickoff format where both teams, except the kicker, are closer together, so not as big of a run-up for possible concussions. And it may allow more return touchdowns, but for the traditional NFL fan, this might not be a change they want to see. What do we think about that?
It's a terrible rule. Coming from a football player myself, just them two starting too close together is just a poor decision. And with the ban of the drop hip tackling, it's really hard for you to play defense without getting a flag. And as a football fan, you live for those big hits, those exciting moments. And now the game's turned into like a two-hand touch league, pretty much.
I do agree with the lack of contact does lead to kind of disappointing games. But like Daniel, you said that it might lead to more return touchdowns, which could be fun, late in the game when they're down. Like those are some of my favorite moments.
Mm-hmm. This is the NBA segment. I'm here with Sam, Kyren, and Cookie, and we're going to be talking about Bronny James entering the 2024 NBA draft after just one season with USC. Is this a terrible decision, like a lot of people are saying, or is there a chance that he could thrive in the NBA?
I'll give my thoughts first. With LeBron not having that much longevity of his career left, him entering the NBA draft is a good family decision because, Bron said he wants to play with his son before he retires. Even though Bronny almost died and didn't have the best basketball season, him going to the NBA will complete LeBron's bucket list. Yeah. And I think they're going to sell a lot of tickets if they play together.
Yeah. Well, you said it's a good family decision. I think it's a terrible family decision. LeBron, now he's not just a basketball player. Bronny James is his son. He should probably want what's best for his son. And LeBron is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but his son probably shouldn't even be starting at USC. I don't think he was. So him declaring for the draft is early. I think it's outrageous. Like if Bronny was just Bronny Wilson or Bronny Smith, he wouldn't be playing college basketball right now. And the fact that he's going to take his game from where he shouldn't even be to the highest level of basketball in the world, I think that is absolutely crazy.
Well,
And I'm not saying Bronny will never succeed in basketball. He needs time. He needs
He needs to be
4 more,
developed.
He needs 4 more years of college basketball and 2 more years of serious playing time, which he's not going to get sitting on the bench in the NBA.
Well, everyone is glossing over the fact that he still has his transfer portal eligibility, just in case he doesn't get drafted or if he doesn't want to do it. And Drew Smith, who LeBron played with in high school, just got the coaching job at Duquesne. So I think that if the draft doesn't work out or something happens, he should just go there. It's not as big of a market. There won't be as much attention on him, and he can just develop and get better at basketball without everyone like having all their eyes on him and stuff like that. Because LA is not a good place for him right now, I don't think.
I think one of the big problems with Bronny is that he's just in the spotlight, like, since the day he was born with having LeBron as your dad. And I think he's rushing himself because he feels like all this pressure of being such a star in the NBA. And if his dad's on the way out, everyone's going to be looking at him. But I don't think it should be a family choice. It should be, is the player ready? And I just don't think he is.
And I like what Sam said about the pressure. I mean, he's just a kid. I mean, he's like 5 years older than us.
They're gonna expect him to be the next GOAT, and
Yeah,
it's just not. He's just not there.
He's just like, his play style isn't. He's not going to drop 30 points on you. He's a 3-and-D type of guy. He's not going to be the star player of your team, but he's a good player still. It's just like he's not going to be what LeBron is as a basketball player.
He isn't what LeBron is right
Yeah.
now, but we're not going to say that anything is impossible. He could turn into LeBron James, but he needs time.
He's not even as tall as LeBron. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
One thing I can say, but Bryce James, class of 2025, I think he's a solid player. He got the offers he has. I think he's deserve them. He's a very inside-out scorer, can play defense. I really like him, and I think he's personally better than Bronny. So I think he has a high ceiling as long as he keeps his game up.
That's a good point. Now, who do you have for MVP?
I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's not going to be him. They're going to give it to Luka or Jokic, but I think it should be him because he's averaging 30 points in a game on a team with Damian Lillard, who's also averaging 25 points a game, and they're about to win 50 games this year. So he's playing great this year. He's playing better than both of his MVP seasons from a couple years ago. I think he should win it, but he's not going to win it. So that's just my prediction.
Dan, you got a prediction?
I don't know. Jokic has been winning it a lot recently, so I could see him being the default. He hasn't really gotten worse since then, so I don't think there's any way you can rule him out as one of the major candidates for it.
I'm going to make 2 predictions. First, the MVP prediction and the most improved player prediction. My MVP prediction, it's either Luka or a hot take is going to be Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has produced a lot for the Lakers. He's giving his all day in, day out. His stats are incredible if you look at his stats.
Well, I mean, giving it your all day in and day out is not a candidate for MVP.
But
I mean, I don't even think Jokic should be MVP. He doesn't have the play style of the most valuable player. Sure, he can score points.
Most valuable players, without that player on the team, can they still be successful? Without Jokic on the Nuggets, I don't think they can be that successful.
Well,
They still
I
be
think
a
that says-
playoff team.
That says more to the Nuggets than it does about Jokic, because you talk about Giannis.
Right.
They still have Damian Lillard putting up 25, and if Giannis were just to disappear, someone would be able to fill that role. Not entirely, but you'd be able to make up the points on the back end with Lillard. But is Giannis having an MVP season? I think he is.
Yeah.
I don't think Jokic is deserving
Me neither.
of another MVP. And Anthony Davis, man. I don't know
He has
about that.
played like over 70 games this year, which I think
Yeah.
that's
And
the
I
first
actually-
in his career.
a-
First
as-
time in a minute.
As a hockey guy, I can really appreciate that. I hate the fact where players are just playing like 30 games in a
And
year.
then they sitting out.
And yeah, like just
Fans coming, yeah.
it's not a good look. But I mean I love that AD's playing 70 games. I think that's how it should be, and I think every single star player should do that. But only for that reason he should win MVP? No. I think he needs to be able to put up MVP numbers,
Day in
70
and day
games.
out.
Yeah.
I think
if he wants that.
I think this kind of comes down to how do we define
The
MVP?
MVP, yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it,
that's true.
Is it like
Because it's
It-
not.
you
Is it-
can't you
it's not
can't
the best
remove
player.
this player from this team and they would be a completely different team? Is it that, or is it he's the biggest all-star? I don't know.
Yeah, and that goes back to like when everyone has like the Jordan LeBron debate. It's like
Yeah.
everyone's definition of who's the greatest of all time is different.
Right.
It doesn't even matter what player they think, but like,
You know it's LeBron.
All right, that's for a different day.
yeah, but everyone's definition of the MVP is slightly different.
Right. Because if you're with the Bucks, if you take Giannis off, they're gonna be like a 6 to 8 seed. They'll be a play-in team. The Nuggets, I think, are around the same thing. Some people say Jason Tatum's from MVP.
No.
If you take him
Yeah,
off the Celtics,
I don't know about
they're still gonna be a top 3 seed in the East.
But
They
if
have
you
the
take
best-
Luka off the Mavericks,
they will be a play-in team. The exact same thing. They will be. They might make the playoffs as like a 7 or 8 seed. They're
well,
not
Luka
doing anything
accounts
crazy.
for probably 70% of their points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah,
day
he
in
is
and day out.
averaging, I think, around 35 right
He's
now.
averaging
which is
around 35.
just James Harden MVP numbers from a couple
Triple
years
double.
ago.
Yeah, he's averaging a
Yeah.
triple double basically.
on the Mavs, which is
Right.
As
And
a-
with
really
Kyrie, who's
impressed.
also scoring
As a point guard.
25 a game.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I do think Luka should be the front runner. I don't
Yeah.
think Jokic or AD should be in that race, but obviously they will.
And when it comes to Shea, because a lot of people think Shea could also be an MVP.
Shay's just not
You
consistent.
say his main argument is he is so many 30-point games, but if you change that to 35-point games, he's got like single digits because he is scoring like 30, 31 a night on one of, if not the best team in the West with a ton of really young talent. And I think if you take Shea off, they'll still be a playoff team. So
And I feel
just
like
don't think.
Shay's a stat chaser.
Yeah, I agree.
I was watching a game one time. I think they were playing the Pacers, and they were down by like the game was over. They were down like 15. There was like 5 seconds left, and he had 29 points. And he took after the free throw, instead of just holding the ball like a regular person would do and accept the loss, he took the ball way down the court to score to give him his 38th consecutive game in a row. And I thought that was very selfish of him. And I don't think he's a candidate for MVP.
Yeah. One kind of final note. LeBron James, we were talking about with Bronny. He's trying to rush his son to the NBA. Is that a sign that he's retiring?
Might be. We don't know how much Bron have left in him. He's been here since he was 18 years old. Never went to college. He did a lot for the league.
Yeah.
It'll be sad to see him go soon. Hopefully, he doesn't retire by the time I get out of high school. You know, it would change the game a lot. I think some people.
Well, I don't know if it changed the game a lot. I mean,
For
just-
fans, some people.
Yeah. I mean,
Some people claim they won't watch after, but I think that's BS.
Well, I think
Yeah.
That happens
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
I think
that was kind of the argument with Jordan. I mean, Jordan obviously had the impact on the game. LeBron didn't have as big of an impact, but he was still just as elite of a player. But you got to be really impressed by how long he's played. But I think 2 mediocre years
In a row.
probably is not what LeBron James needs.
Right.
I think it'll also allow other players to come in and take the limelight because, like, after Jordan left, other guys got the attention, and I think that'd be great. That'd actually be great for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of people think
ushering
about
in the new era.
Right.
Yeah,
With
you
AI
think about
after Jordan.
Yeah.
you think about like, oh, no more LeBron, no more
KD,
like,
no
best
more Curry.
player, but
Yeah.
and he said in an interview recently that he can't do it much longer, so it could be very soon. But I think you can also take that with a bit of excitement of what's the new era going to look like? Who's going to step up and be the guy that everyone wants to watch?
Right.
For that, I think it'll be Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is just an incredible basketball player. He's constantly putting him and his team in positions to win. He's not selfish, and like he doesn't change. If you watch his interviews, he talks how he was like been talking since he was a teenager. He hasn't changed up for the NBA.
Well, I don't know if talking like a teenager is a good thing if you're a fully grown man.
Well, not like he doesn't like change the way he talks, as in like he doesn't.
Well, yeah, I
You
get
know.
I get not changing for the NBA, but obviously
Right.
you're a public figure. If you're gonna
He's
try to
cleaned
be the
himself
head,
up.
if you're gonna try to be the star, you kind of got to act like the star.
Right.
And with that comes a lot of responsibility, and I don't know if he has that. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
And I also think Luka should be in that conversation for the new face of the league.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Giannis and Jokic, too, should be in there. They're a little bit older. They're almost in their 30s, but I still think once LeBron leaves, they'll be the face of the league for a little bit, and then they'll turn it over to those younger guys. But
Jason Tatum as well. Even though the Celtics, they have a great team, they just can never finish when the playoffs times come.
Right.
Jason Tatum is a very elite basketball player. He just each year he just keeps getting better. Like his rookie year, did he dunk on LeBron in the playoffs? 2018. I'm sorry. Rumor has it he's still 21 to this day.